This will be aired after Valentine's Day, but happy belated Valentine's Day for
Mhm.
everyone listening. Another special guest episode with Reena. I would say that we're friends now, right? We can officially we've
Oh,
crossed
you
that bridge.
definitely know me better than most now because you're helping edit my show. So
Yeah,
you get to see all the mess ups.
so Reena and I connected November-ish probably. And we started doing like a little mixing editing service on the side. And I think I posted like a promo, and it was like, free. I'll edit like 2 or 3 hours of audio, video, whatever.
I was like, free?
Yeah, yeah.
Ah.
So you were the first one to jump, and I feel like we've been working together ever since. So now I know a good bit about like you and your guests, but if you kind of want to introduce yourself a little bit and kind of tell our listeners who you are and about you.
Yeah, I'm the host of the Better Call Daddy show. It is a show where I interview interesting and controversial people, share the stories with my dad, and then he weighs in with his intergenerational wisdom and wit. I initially started the show like 4 or 5 years ago. My dad was giving me all kinds of really good advice, and I wanted to share that with the world. I wanted to kind of capture our special relationship. And what I have found is that a lot of daddies girls can relate to that. They come find me. A lot of daddies come find me, like, bring me all the daddies. And
Mhm.
then people that no longer have their father or want to know what kind of like that relationship is like, they also are tuning in. So it's crazy. I just spoke at a podcasting event this week and I was part of a panel and it was on personal branding. And I think personal brand is what you kind of create when you create a podcast, right? Like you're telling people who you are, hopefully in real life and then through a podcast.
So Rena, how do you, because we're like, the way that we select our guests is like we have our process. How do you pick who you want to approach to come on to your show? Because you have such a unique group of individuals that you do interview.
Yeah, that's a great question. In the beginning, I really kind of went back to my Jerry Springer roots. That was my first job out of college, and I love a good story. For me, a good story was like some shock and awe, right? Like I interviewed somebody that was formerly KKK. I wanted to know what that was like. I interviewed a phone sex operator. I interviewed a sperm donor daddy to 25 people. I was kind of going after those like clickbaity kind of titles, but it's a mix now. I got reached out to by Hunter Biden's ex, and, she talked to me about being a single mom and how she wanted Hunter Biden to be in her daughter's life, and I read her whole book, and I loved that, and she had a unique daddy angle for sure. So, it has kind of evolved into, like, I still like Wild and Crazy, but tell me about, like, your upbringing and what does, legacy mean to you, and what's your relationship like with your parents, and are you a dad? Did you wanna be a dad? What has that brought into your life?
All the daddy stuff.
All the daddy stuff.
Cue,
All
cue,
the
cue,
daddy stuff.
cue us.
Yeah, yeah. I feel like I want to say that's kind of how we our guests. So okay, let's rewind a year ago.
Okay.
And so when we were approaching people, um, it was one of those things where we and we're still nobodies, but it was really difficult to get anyone to come on,
Mhm.
like anyone. And it was hard for us because one, I would message someone on Instagram, and you know how it is on Instagram. A lot of those messages get filtered to a box that you have to go in and approve if you want to interact with this person or not.
Message requests. It's not
Yes,
even
yeah.
in your DMs. Yeah.
And I honestly think we did a lot of like soap makers because
This was who we knew
that's who we knew.
anyway.
Yeah,
That's who you knew. You had
that's
a
who I knew.
actual soap addiction and you needed to go to soap users, soap block
yeah,
users
Soap
anonymous.
is
Anonymous.
a great Valentine's Day gift.
I look. Don't even get me started. So, do you have them? Do you?
Wait, hold on. This is good. This is gonna happen.
You
You
have
have to
to
see
see
this.
these.
Hold on.
So I'm big into soaps, and I started with Dr. Squatch, right? I think that's everyone's kind of entry into the soap world. Well, Squatch decided to partner up with I don't know if you can see these Trojan condoms. And so they it says Trojan and Dr. Squatch. Get dirty, stay clean. 3 lubricated latex condoms. So, yeah, so soap is a really fucking
But there's also the
wa
bar of soap to go with
and
it.
then there's the bar soap called Bricked Up.
That's
Bricked
how you
up.
stay clean.
Yeah.
Wow.
So so
I
you
wish they would have called it like Wiener Cleaner. Oh, that'd have been way better.
the y well,
Then
and
I mean, Bricked Up is pretty good. That's
Bricked
funny.
Up is funny and it's gonna sell, but then they don't sell it, like, in stores. You can only get it exclusively online. And so I ordered this 3-pack as a joke. I was gonna actually give you one because it's funny, and, they forgot the condoms.
Hmm.
And I was like, "Yo, I ordered these bars of soap because I want the condoms because" so now they've just been sending me I've been getting Dr. Squatch condoms every day in the mail. So they've been they
You're like a you could be like a Planned Parenthood and
Have
have a
you
little
interviewed them?
I tried. I reached out to the CEO. Squatch is a multi-million, if not billion-dollar company, though. I mean, they got bought out, so they have like, private. They have investors. So getting a hold of them. Reena? Do you know anyone over at the Doctor
No,
Squatch?
but what about like reaching out to their marketing team or their branding team? I mean, that could be
their Twitter
interesting.
Their
So,
or their
Twitter,
ex,
their
whatever.
X. Yes. Don't let Elon Musk hear you say Twitter X. So yeah, yeah. So anyway, we were doing a lot of soap people. Well, we
Yeah.
were interviewing a lot
Yeah.
of soap people, and then the I feel like I always tell this story, but William Hung was the first fucking person
I
to.
love that.
I love
I
it too.
love that. That warms the cockles of my heart.
But shout out William Hung. Shout out William Hung
Always.
because he then helped us get other people on.
I immediately felt credible.
I want to interview William Hung. That's so cool.
Rena, you should. He's a
Did you get him
really
to sing? I need to listen to that episode. I listened to part of it. I remember that.
he didn't sing. So he he said that he still sings on Cameo, but he was working as an analyst for the Los Angeles
Police department?
Sheriff's
Sheriff, yeah.
Department.
Mm-hmm.
And I think now he sells like life insurance policies. But
Hey, I've done it too.
right. But yeah, he did say that the what was it? The Asian community said he was portraying that like stereotypical Asian. He said that they really kind of like disowned him.
Yeah, they like shunned him. He wasn't appreciated.
Yeah. Which you think of American Idol, there's Kelly Clarkson, Ryan Seacrest, but fucking everyone knows who William Hung is.
But it was
He was representing in a good
yes,
way.
yes.
But it was a shame because you could tell that he just had like he was just trying his hardest. Like he brought pure joy. He said that's all I really want to do is just bring people joy, make myself happy, do what feels right. And then yeah, he was definitely the butt of so many jokes, which I guess I don't know, are you asking for it? I don't know. It
God love
seems
him. What a good attitude.
Well, and he
yes,
said
yes, yes.
he said that they gave him so the first album drops.
Some soap.
Well, yeah. And then so now William Hung is the spokesperson of
She bangs soap.
she bangs soap. He did say so. I asked him. I said, "Hey, does Ryan Seacrest have soft hands?" And I don't know if he didn't like. It's not that he didn't appreciate it, but he was just kind of like, "No, but he's got a very firm handshake." I was like, "Because I just assume that his hands are soft,
Ryan Seacrest looks like he's got
the softest of hands."
baby soft
Yep.
hands.
But a firm handshake. And he did say that a second album came out and they were unable to, I guess it didn't sell. The music industry is so fucked and like selling albums just didn't do it for him. So then he kind of just stopped doing that. But then after him, we were able to kind of approach, like this musician or this artist, this actor, this actress, whatever. And, William Hung,
The jump
that's
off.
it, the jump off.
Mm-hmm.
Was it challenging? I mean, I feel like you had a lot of connections already, right? Like for those listening, can you mentioned Jerry Springer, right? Can we backpedal and talk about that a little bit? So you
Of
said
course,
that
everybody loves that part of my story. Actually, in this panel I was just in, I'm like, there are certain things, there are like 4 or 5 things about me that people remember. One, the headband, because I wore this wig for like 15 years. People remember the headband. I'm like the financial advisor with headbands in every color for a while. And then I now have this headshot where I do like these Vogue moves. So I did that like at the conference. I did like my Vogue moves and I wore like this super colorful like 80s button down because I got like this makeover where I would have never worn that, but this fashion person picked that for me and I wore it in my headshot and now it's become memorable. So I decided, since I was talking about personal branding, to wear the colorful shirt. I didn't wear the wig, but I talked about it. The fact that I worked for Jerry Springer and that I'm a Jew from Kentucky. Like those things people want to know about. And I know that. Like those hit.
Really dig into those things.
Yeah, right,
And the
right.
daddy's girl thing. Like, people know I want a dad story now. People know I worked for Springer. People know I'm a Jew from Kentucky. It's funny. We were talking about Valentine's, like, right when we popped on here. There's this Hasidic guy that found me through my podcast. He's like a dad of, I think, like 8 or something. And he was like, "Did you know Jews don't really celebrate Valentine's Day?" I was like, "Oh, I'm going to add that to my list of topics I need to cover. Thank you for that."
Well, let me just cancel my fucking plans
Yeah,
then.
fuck. We were talking about Valentine's Day, I think last week, and it's a Hallmark holiday, right? Like,
Totally.
For sure.
you know,
And I did not buy chocolate or roses or anything. I didn't even get a card. I should probably do that on the way home. Future me, when this episode comes out, this will be after Valentine's Day. I hope I don't get my ass kicked.
I don't know. I feel like I was at the grocery store last night, and there were so many people there buying flowers. They were buying the overpriced like teddy bears.
Oh my God.
The
Yeah.
Can I tell you, I used to work at a drugstore when I was younger. Can you guess the busiest day at a drugstore like CVS, Walgreens thing? What's the busiest day?
I'm gonna say the day before Valentine's Day,
That's a good guess, but
the day after.
no, Mother's Day.
Right.
And because, I mean,
It's a
everybody's
big
got
money maker.
a mom
Oh,
in their
yeah.
life, whether it's their mom, whether it's somebody that they look up to as a mother. But that Hallmark aisle is butt to butt, hip to hip. Everybody's
Wow.
over there getting a card. But I think Valentine's Day has got to be pretty close to that.
It probably trumps Father's Day. Like, I think the dads
for
get
sure.
gypped.
For sure.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah,
because
yeah.
I feel like we're like Jenna does. She's got this like journal that she got for me. Actually, I love this gift. And then every year she traces Isla and Arlo's hands, so you can see. And then she like has them write a note, right? Which I like much more than getting the $20 box of like shitty Buffalo Wild Wings hot sauces,
Sure.
right? You know, like I appreciate that more. But then for Mother's Day, I'm a sack of shit because I'm always like, oh, I got this idea and I'm gonna get you this thing, and then I just forget. And then
Yeah, where are we now? We have it's in May, right? So
it's
we've
in
got
May.
some time.
Yep.
Yeah.
But anyway, so Jerry Springer, so how did you end up? I mean, everyone knows about Jerry Springer in some way, shape, or form. So how did you get involved?
I started off as an intern. Yeah, I had worked at a college radio station and wanted to actually work in radio. And I had created like air check tapes and sent them out to a bunch of stations. And one of the stations that I got an interview at was WGN in Chicago. And so I drove up from Purdue to Chicago and interviewed there and then didn't get the job. And then there was a flyer that Jerry Springer was looking for interns in the same courtyard. And so I just walked across the courtyard, told the security I had an interview for the intern role, and they let me through. And I ended up starting there 2 weeks later. It was crazy. It was like, being at the right place at the right time kind of thing.
You just told them that you had an interview. You didn't actually have an interview. That's
No.
amazing.
Yeah.
I would
and
be
this
so
was-
nervous. I'd be so nervous.
You have to commit,
Yeah.
right?
Fake
Like,
it till you make
yep.
it. Oh, that's some spy shit right there.
It was cool. It was crazy. And I honestly, I feel like a lot of my career has kind of like been chances like that. Like, once I worked for Jerry for a couple of years and then I moved to LA, I got into the Producers Guild just from having worked on that one show. Cause like we produced so many shows. It was like a weekly show. So I qualified just from having worked on Springer. And so there was like internal job postings through the Producers Guild of America, like people that had worked in the industry for a long time. But I'm like, damn, all I have on my resume is like Springer, you know? So
But I feel like I mean, okay, when I was homesick, right? Price is Right, and most likely Jerry Springer, right? With maybe a little bit of People's Court in there.
Sure.
Like, I feel like those shows were kind of but we were
Not your
talking
soaps.
and we were talking about this though earlier, and so, like, I don't know enough about Jerry Springer to, like there are some people, when you mention somebody so, like, you'll mention an episode and and, like, Jenna will know, like, my wife will know who that person is, but, like, I don't, but the people who, like, know Jerry Springer, like, they know every fucking thing about
Springer's Greatest Hits.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, how many episodes were there? Like,
I mean, he was on the air for 27 years. He
such a
That's
long time.
crazy.
he was one of, yeah, like the longest running talk shows in history, and he was brought in to replace Donahue. So in the beginning, he started off as like, you know, an Emmy winning like newscaster kind of guy. He wanted to do like serious topics. And when he was doing that, to be perfectly honest, his ratings were in the toilet. And so then they brought in
Mm.
this executive producer, Richard Dominic, who came from like the tabloid industry, and he is the, you know, madman behind the genius.
Mhm.
So then after you were an intern for how long?
Only a couple months. I actually
Okay.
went from intern to associate producer in a couple of months. There was another guy who started the same day as me. His name is Michael Carradine, and he also like we both started off as interns, and he got hired as a production assistant and I got hired as an associate producer. He ended up staying there longer than me, but it was crazy because he had just graduated from IU, which was like the rival school to Purdue. I was crashing on some guy's couch that I met off of Craigslist. And
Okay.
like once we both got hired, we were like, shit, let's move in together. Cause we're like, we're both working here. We're both working around the
Nice.
clock. Let's go move to the Gold Coast and just fucking share a studio. We had like two air mattresses next to each other, an ironing board fucking table, but we were living on the Gold Coast. It was like
Yep.
right above a bar. We're like
You did it.
living the fucking dream. It was
Yeah.
insane.
I would say that's it. You made it.
That's
right?
it. I mean,
It,
but
it might not feel like you made it, but you did. That's what making it looks like, I
and
think.
yeah, and you hear those stories all the time because if you didn't do I mean, how many times do bands live, "I just lived on Eric's floor," for like, you have to do what you have to
I
do
think
or else
so.
you don't get those opportunities. And
That's how
sometimes
it was for sure. And my Hollywood career was like that too. So after I worked at Jerry, like I was there for 2 full seasons and the start of a 3rd season, and for sure, like, looking back, I was totally getting burnt out and, like, nothing was crazy enough. I'm like, "Oh, okay, how long you been sleeping together? Who you wanna be with? You know, are you related to who you're cheating with?" Like, it got to be
right, you
so
can only
freaking
do that
nuts
so many
Yeah. Yeah.
that yeah, so I moved to LA, did not know anyone again. Like, I moved to Chicago and did not know anyone, and I moved to LA with someone who worked at Springer with me, who's in that documentary, even though he says he left over a story, he actually did not. He moved to LA with me. We got a job on a pilot together. He was like the production manager, hired me as his production coordinator, and we worked on this production for CNN. And the production company that did the pilot was the Kyoto Brothers Productions. And then after the pilot wrapped and it didn't get picked up, they offered me an executive assistant role. And I ended up working for them like on and off for a couple of years. And then kind of like on the side, I was like applying to jobs in the Producers Guild and like wanted to get back into the field. And they saw that I
Sure.
had those dreams and aspirations, but it was like a family run special effects animation company. One was a producer, one was an animator. These guys like did the puppets for Team America.
Wait, so,
That's amazing.
Killer Clowns from Outer Space,
Killer
right?
Clowns from Outer
Yeah,
Space.
yeah,
Those guys.
yeah,
Yes.
okay. So,
How'd you pull
the
that out of your ass?
the band Chiodos,
Oh,
based off of well, yeah,
That's
so
cool you knew that.
yeah, right, yeah, so that's one of my favorite movies from the I love that
What?
movie so much. Yeah, Killer Clowns from Outer Space.
I didn't think anybody actually
What are you gonna
loved
do,
that
knock my
movie.
block off? That shit's fucking hilarious.
Oh my God, that was my first job in LA, was working for
That's
them. And I've actually
hilarious.
interviewed them now. So you were saying I had it like kind of like built-in guests. When I first started my podcast, I was like, dude, like some of the people that I've worked for, like other people will want to know what that's like. So I've
Yeah.
interviewed the Kyoto brothers. I've interviewed Judge Alex. I worked on that court TV show for 5 years. I interviewed one of the nannies from Nanny 911. I was like, these are some of the people that I love
Yeah.
from my journey. Other people will think that's cool. And then I'll sprinkle in some daddy stories along the way. Like,
I think that's huge, though. I mean, think back to a lot of the people that we've talked to, right? Bands that we grew up listening to was
Uh-huh.
kind of our bread and butter. Like,
Mhm.
hey, uh,
And we filled it in with our buddies, like some friends.
yeah,
Like,
yes,
honestly, it's
People that like you.
kind of
Yeah.
same.
yeah,
Yeah.
and then they always know. Oh, well, I actually know this person.
Shit. When we interviewed my buddy Phil, he's a comedian, Phil Kors. Love that guy. He's the one where we were talking about like reality TV shows. He said, "Oh, like you should get William hung on." And then that's the fucking next week we did.
He
That's
said
right. He was the
he
catalyst.
said William. He said what is William? He said you need to have William hung on, and I think that same night
I
I
believe
sent a
you said,
message
"I'll be a shit covered dick if we
and
don't get William hung."
and guess who we fucking got? And that was a week where we actually got we got Dave Elkins of May, a band that was a big part of my teen years, and Dave Elkins, Daniel Rinaldi, who was in another band based out of Jersey, and
And
William
I
fucking
followed
Hung.
that guy on Twitter. I was like, what?
Daniel Rinaldi.
Yes.
That's so like like just even before like
Yes.
That's funny.
that's
Yeah. I was like, how do you know him?
so so in Delaware, the music scene here, I mean, the biggest band to come out of Delaware is who? George Thorogood and the
George
Delaware.
Thorogood and the Delaware Destroyers. And he dropped the word Delaware.
And he dropped the word
One
Delaware.
bourbon, one scotch, one beer. What was his other one?
Bad to the bone.
Bad to the bone.
Right.
Bad.
And so we don't really have a lot of big bands coming out of Delaware. All the bands are coming out of Jersey, or California. Really, like that's it. But there's this place here, or it used to be here, called the Harmony Grange, right? And so bands that were kind of like they were just they were big, but they weren't big enough. So like it was this small little venue, held maybe 350 people. So like Paramore came through there, My Chemical Romance. So these bands that were
But before they were,
huge.
before we would have ever heard of them.
So we got to hang out with these people. Well, I was in a band, and we played with Daniel Rinaldi's band Bedlight for Blue Eyes. So that was the first, and the Harmony Grange, like as a musician, that was kind of like peak. Like I need to be here. I need to play here. So we did, and we opened for Bedlight for Blue Eyes, and that's how we met him. So now fast forward almost fucking 20 years later, and I reached out to him, and he was like, "Hey." Obviously, like he doesn't do a lot of music anymore, but he had this mental town. So these puppets for
Yeah.
for kids who may suffer from anxiety or whatever, but they have a hard time speaking with an adult 101. So he would kind of have the like Eric would has suffers with anxiety. So like then they would kind of he would pair them up with that
Would
individual.
you say Sesame Street meets therapy?
Yeah, sure. And so he's a therapist now.
Mhm.
That's what he does. So that's fucking the smallest world that you also and he's one of the sweetest guys. I mean, that was a really
Yeah, I got to say, I didn't know who any of these people were at all, but I really enjoyed talking to all of them. Like
yeah,
they were all, this is so much fun. Like we've said this before, we make nothing doing this
yeah, right.
as of now,
Yeah.
Valentine's Day 2025. But the journey that we've gone through over the last year has been amazing. Like I've talked to people and learned things that I never would have imagined learning without this.
Uh Adam Webb, right? I know you've gotten in touch with what a fascinating like and we found Adam Webb because we were on Jarrett and Gary from Bowling for Soup's podcast, and Adam Webb just happened to listen, and now we have a buddy over in the UK. You
Yeah,
know
he
what I
said we
mean?
could come crash on
We could
his.
come crash on his IKEA furniture.
Yes, that's what he
You need to
said.
definitely document
Oh yeah,
that.
yeah.
Oh, for sure.
Oh yeah. So yes, it has been really
Did you get your passport?
fuck no. I need a passport
I need a
before
passport too.
yeah. Aren't they kind of expensive?
Yeah, a little bit.
So
Like if you had to get one for your whole family, you know what? I don't remember how much it was,
probably
but
$1,000.
you're close. Nah, I think half that.
Oh, that's
I
not
think
bad.
so. But like the kids, if all four of you have to get it,
Yeah.
think about spending like $500.
Nah, I figured we
You're
Oh,
like,
just you and me?
Yeah.
Oh, just you and
Daddy
me?
thing.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Well, I already
sorry.
got mine.
Yeah,
so-
all right. We'll just get mine.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it has been a really interesting journey. And I feel like the same thing for you too, right? I mean, like, I never thought I'd be sitting here just having one-on-ones about life with all the people we talk to.
Mhm.
You
I feel
know?
like it's helped me come out of my shell, even though I am naturally like an extrovert. I was always afraid of crowds, and it has led to me being able to speak in front of more people and perform in front of more people, so to speak. I
That
mean, I feel like you are kind of performing, like, when you're sitting on a panel and, like, the audience is firing all of these questions, like, you have to
That
kinda be
sounds like
on for that.
yeah, that sounds like a nightmare to me. I don't want that. I don't wanna be up on the
I don't
stage.
wanna be a keynote speaker yet, like, that's not I'm not there yet, but
Right.
I have noticed, like, such an evolution of me through this process. That's
I
been really interesting.
I love I love being on stage. Like, I love talking in front of people. I mean, as a musician, like, I that was my shit. Playing in front of thousands of people was
Wow.
amazing. But also, like, I never sang, right? So playing guitar, like, you always I could just kind of be back in the background, but, like, I enjoy it, and that's why I do think I like this so much. Like, I just enjoy, but also, if you go back and we talked about this, I think, when we were on your show, how cringy, we
Mm,
were
our first
we
episodes
were
were?
talking like this, and, like, it was like we had these long fucking what was it? "Welcome to Daddies the podcast where we bust balls," and it
We
was
did
like
have
this
this whole entry. Yes.
eh
We used chat we straight up just used ChatGPT, and we
Yep,
tried to use alliteration. What was the episode names would always start with 2 it would be 2-word episode
two-word
names.
episode, and yeah, each word started with the same letter, so we'd
I
be
tried
like
to do some alliteration too.
Yeah, it sounds nice, but then, like, what, we burned ourselves out of that after
well,
7
yeah,
or
so it
8
would be like,
episodes.
"Oh, the soap episode, let's call it the Sudsy Suds," and it was like, "This is dumb," and then we had no, video, so then we for whatever so we got started, not to talk about this because we always do, but we got started eating on the internet. Like, Eric and I would get paid by people, and we would just fucking
But
eat.
this was before mukbangs were popular, and we
Yes.
weren't doing mukbangs, like, we weren't eating a whole tons of food. We would just, like, straight up go to Burger King, get their new featured burger, whatever they had, and with the chicken fries, and we would just bullshit and talk, and people gave us money on GoFundMe.
GoFundMe. So we would we started a help make our dreams come true.
At
And
the
then
at the at the end of each of our episodes, we would do a snack review. Mind you, we're audio only, so we're describing what these snacks are, what they look like, what they smell like, what they taste like, and we would go,
You were, like,
"Would you hear that?
ADRing it, yeah.
it
Or what
was
is that called now where
ASMR,
ASMR.
SMR?
I was gonna say
ASMR."
BDSMing, but definitely not that. We were
Just in the squeaky latex with our crack
Eric
right
had
here.
fucking Git mask on, and I was but we always would pick, like, "All right, let's go we have to find, like, an ethnic like, let's find this, like, Asian grocer," and we would get, like, candy that we've never had before, or we had these, like, Mexican candies that you it was like the sour spaghetti, and you'd pour hot sauce on it.
It was not good.
But then, like, explaining would be like, "All right, now we're gonna post pictures for everyone to see." And people were like, "Yo, this what the fuck?" So then we're like, "All right, let's cut 2 things out. Eating on like, eating into a microphone and, the dumb intros."
Mhm,
And
mhm.
I think the intros, like, sometimes I'll go back still and listen for, like, fun clippage, and it's too fucking cringy.
Yeah.
I can't fucking do it. I can't
We
do it.
can't remove those episodes,
No,
but
no, no, they live there
I
forever.
mean, we shouldn't ever remove them, but we as a memory of what we were and where how we've grown.
And I
Okay,
think
so I
growth is
wanna tell
good.
you something cringy too, like, somebody told me that, it would be, like, more attractive or something if because I'm a middle-aged woman talking to my daddy, like, it's not like I'm a little girl talking to their dad, so they were like, "You should kinda play into the daddy thing and, like, use your, like, sexy voice."
Mm.
So I tried to be like, "So, what do you think, daddy?" And then I'm like, I listen back to that and I am like, "What
You
was
know
I
what?
thinking?"
I bet some people enjoyed that,
You know what? Yeah.
and I try not to yuck anybody's yum, I believe is what they say, but, yeah, I could see that being cringy. Yeah, for sure.
Especially when you're, like, interviewing people that have been through sexual abuse,
Oh
like,
Oh,
god,
oh
yeah.
god, yeah.
Well,
I'm
I guess
like,
it's
that did not work."
yeah, well, that's what we did, and oh god, I hate looking back. I don't even wanna talk I don't like that stuff, but cringy stuff is I think everybody's done something that they'll remember as the thing, like, they're the only person that probably remembers that they did that thing, but they kick themselves for it all the
It's
time.
like 20 years later, you're in bed and you're like, "Why the fuck did I say that to that person I'll never see
Can
again?"
I tell you one of my favorites? It's not me, so I can tell this and not feel bad. It was a work person.
Yeah.
So we're at an event. And so my wife is a nurse by trade. She's done a whole bunch of things. And I bring her to a work event. It's like, hey, come have drinks. It's like a ball kind of. And this other person that I work with, she brought her husband, and those two, that her husband and my wife were talking. And we had to get a babysitter. We had just had our son. So we're like, he's like 9 months old. Anyway, this guy goes to my wife. He goes, oh, so they had met before. He goes, oh, so are you still nursing? And my wife, as the very open person she is, she goes, oh, no. No, I had to stop. See, my nipples are so flat and it was really difficult for me to bring milk. So like I pump and then I give it to him in a bottle and he's just fucking mortified.
I love your wife. That is freaking awesome.
And then she sees the look on his face and she goes, oh, you were talking about if I still work as a nurse. So my wife was not embarrassed whatsoever. You can't embarrass her at all if you tried. That guy was embarrassed.
So the first time, I think, so I've known you now for over a decade, right?
Yeah.
But I think I knew Shay for maybe 5 minutes before I saw her tits.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
Everybody's seen Shay's tits.
Yeah, right.
Honestly, it was a worry because she's done an episode of Daddies, right? And I was kind of concerned that she was going to flop her tit out.
We were at a restaurant and she was like, do these look okay? And it's like, yo, I mean, they're perfectly fine. Yeah, great. But like, I don't think you should be doing that here.
You can't tell her that. She'll do it.
I posted, so yeah, you were away on a trip.
Mm-hmm.
And so Shay was like the other half of Daddies, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I was trying to be tame, like with what I was. It was tough because I didn't want people to be like, "Yo, why are you talking to your boy's wife like that?"
Oh, but she'll totally talk anything.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And I think people who don't know Shay would think that, but people who know her,
you should have done it because you know why? Because sex sells. That's
Oh
what
my
you were
God.
just saying. Like people kind of want to hear that. I mean, I don't think she probably would have pulled her tit out if you asked, but
How'd
why
you meet her?
She's great.
Our best clips, I feel like, come from those like, oh, here's an Urban Dictionary.
Oh
Quote,
yeah,
you
right.
know what I
If
mean?
we're
Quote like,
being, yeah, what's the not an Alabama? Well, the Alabama wet wipe. Somebody corrected. Never mind.
yeah.
How'd you meet your wife?
I met her at a house party at the University of Delaware. Neither of us were students at the University of Delaware, but we were both at this house party, and I was just sitting back, blasted out of my mind, watching the band. It was either on Kurt Cobain's birthday or his death anniversary, because this band started playing a lot of Nirvana, and I was long haired, hippie kind of guy, and she looked over and she said to her gay friend Andy, she said, I want him. And he came over and he got me, and I was just like, apparently I could be led anywhere. So he sat me down on the couch next to her. And then the next morning, I remember waking up and this girl, MySpace, requested to be my friend. This is back in the days of MySpace. And I friended her, and then she invited me over the next week. And it's been
it's interesting
history.
because that's how I met her also. So a week prior, we also met.
You know what? People keep telling me that's how they meet my wife, and I'm starting to believe them.
So all of our kids look like your kids look like me, and my kids look like you.
Hey.
So something is fucking wrong.
Don't sperm donors.
Yeah. But so I posted a clip where Shay was talking about using a hairbrush to pleasure herself to Spike from fucking Buffy.
Oh
yeah, right. Like she was going on and on about that. That was
that clip got a lot of views.
Yeah, right. Because
people like to hear stuff like that.
Yeah. But then also like I feel like we've had some episodes where like we've talked before, like when we first started, and I think we were just introducing cameras and video to the mix, and they were just bad.
Our episodes, sure.
You know, like do you ever have those episodes when you're like talking to somebody or like, and it's just like, you know, it's just bad. Like, and we've had one that was unairable.
Yeah.
I've had unairable too. Yeah. And then I feel bad because one of my unairable ones, she reached out like multiple times. Like usually I tell my guests like it's going to take months for your episode to come out, like sometimes 9 months. And she just kept asking. She was
Mm.
like, and so finally I was just like, I'm sorry, but there was just fucking nothing there.
Pretty much what we had to do.
And so we use Riverside. Shout out Riverside.
Riverside's
Not,
great.
but we love Riverside. It's been very good to us. The customer support has been very good to us. So we haven't really kind of left. But we had an individual where, hey, if you're using your phone, that's fine, but make sure you're shooting it like your phone needs to be horizontal.
I think he just didn't know what that meant.
He didn't know what that meant, and he thought horizontal was vertical. And we should have said something because
You're
we
like
probably
the other horizontal.
well, right, yeah,
Yeah.
no, not that way, this way,
Yeah.
right? Because I was
But we just weren't paying attention to like you saw earlier, you saw our crack right here only, right? So if we had clicked in on his thing, we'd have seen him vertical, but we didn't know because it formatted the way it wanted to format.
and we would have probably known if we were all Eric and I were both recording at our house, so we were each
Mhm.
using a webcam, and then we had 2 other people on, so there were 4 total. So there were 4 tiny boxes on the screen. So whatever, fine. But then after the episode, it was like the shot was like from here up. And I was like, dude, I can't do anything with this. You have the Kmart connection, so the audio's out of sync with the fucking video. So let's just do audio. Well, then it got to the point where it was like, hey, are you done? How come you're not promoting it as much as I am? Do you hate me? And I was like, dude, like number one, you asked to come on our show. We'll promote as much as we want. You can do whatever you want with it, but and then we had someone else come on and he was like, how come you're promoting this fucking asshole? Like,
It was insane.
Wow,
then,
that's some audacity, to be
oh,
honest.
oh yeah. And then he said, I'm sorry. I just don't air it. I always ruin everything. I'm the worst. I hate myself. And I said, okay, that's fine.
Yikes.
You got it. I won't air it.
Cool.
It's crazy.
It was
I've had
wild.
some stories where like people are like, I really overshared. I've had that actually like multiple times. And they're like, hey, can you just edit out like that whole part about my brother? I'm like, dude, that was like 15, 20 minutes of the conversation. And honestly, the best part about your whole freaking story. So
Right.
if you don't want me to air that part, let's just like call this a win. We had a great
Mhm.
conversation. I'm not going to air it. Like,
Yep.
Right.
there's
That's
nothing.
Let's call this a practice run.
Exactly. Exactly.
Mm.
And then too, like I had this one episode and she's just really not comfortable like sharing her personal story. She just really wanted to talk about her book. And I was like, you would sell a lot more books if you like talked about who you were and why you wrote it. And she got super vulnerable to the point where she walked off camera like mid interview. I was like, oh damn, that was
Jeez.
good. Like
Yeah, right,
so
yeah.
good. And she was like, you can't air this. I was like, let me just save it in case you change your mind. But yeah,
Right.
Yes.
I respect that. I have a couple that like I've saved. I'm hoping they're gonna come back around.
Right.
Like,
Right.
I
Some B reel.
I feel like that's how we are, where it's like we've been fortunate in that aspect where I only sometimes have to make edits. I try to keep it as raw as possible for I think just for our show, it fits our
I
conversational
like it. I
stuff.
think if fucking damn it, I lost my train of thought.
Yeah.
Just leave it in.
Yeah.
Just leave it in. It's fine. There's no like, because you know why? Because people are listening to it and it feels authentic and real, like a conversation, real people having a real conversation.
But the problem is the one episode that we didn't air, we talked for like 10 minutes and he said, nope, let's do it again. And I was like, dude, like we are, and we're very unscripted with how that's how we operate. And to say no, let's do it again, but keep like let's say the same things, dude, you're gonna get a non-authentic take.
Wait, do you remember the episode? So we were actually in this room in person towards the very beginning, and I think we were audio only. We fucking sit down and we talk for an hour, right? We do an authentic, unscripted episode, and then Greg goes, "Oh no, I didn't press record," and we needed an episode. So
oh
you know
no.
what we did? We went through and we did the same episode. Like we just talked, riffed, and did like the same kind of subject matters. But it was weird because we would do things and go, Hey, do you know what I did last week? I know you know because we literally just talked about it 1 hour ago, but let me tell you again.
You know what? That was when I think we started doing video, and we were using, Zencastr or Squad whatever, they're all the same fucking thing, and, um, and I hit mute, so we record through the Rode into the actual interface, like, into the computer, but I fucked up and I hit mute on the actual app, so I think on Zencastr, I hit mute, so there was 0 audio coming through.
Yeah, that's tough.
And then I muted no, I actually muted, I think, too, on the thing, and I was like, "Well, let's just if I mute it on this, we should still get it in here because we can hear each other."
Er,
And it was bad, and then we were like, "Well, let's go take a drive, and maybe when we come back, it'll be corrected," and it wasn't.
No,
But
no.
then we've also had fuck ups before where, like, we recorded an episode with well, couple weeks ago with, Mare, and
Yeah.
we are trying different cameras, right? So cameras are fucking hard.
So
So
the camera that you're looking at us through is the one that we ended up using for the final cut. But for my portion, but you see me, I'm all the way over here,
Yeah.
and I had a camera that was running, and it was like right in front of my face,
so
and you could hardly see it. You would see like this much of my face.
One eyeball.
Yeah, yeah, pretty much. Actually, I haven't seen any clips of myself from that episode,
I
Greg.
That
didn't
might
air
be
any clips.
actually fun to like cut together something of just like weird angles with like
So
good audio.
Yeah.
so we were recording into the Blackmagic A10 switcher, right? And I found this guy in my neighborhood who was selling a GoPro, and I was like, "Well, I just need something to feed into that." But then we were like, "Well, let's just record directly onto the camera." So we record onto this shitty old GoPro. It's like a GoPro 4. And I take it off and it said, "Trying to repair file." I was like, "Ooh, that's probably not
That's
great."
another one of those, "Let's go for a drive."
Yup. And
Refresh.
uh-huh. And that was yeah, so that was Mayor's episode, and so, yeah, his if you watch 2 episodes that we did when we just got, like, the news, so they're, like, this setup, and the video, I had to put, like, an overlay and make our videos really small because it was just pixelated garbage, but the content was good, so I didn't wanna not air it, but, Spill the Mead and Mayor Mulroney,
Mhm.
those 2 episodes, we had to kind of compromise and
That's okay.
improvise.
You know what? This is all not practice. This is real stuff, but it's like we're always getting better.
Yep.
Mm.
And so, like, we're still trying to build out our studio. So, like, Eric and I just see a whole lot of white space. This is like still Jenna, like, this is our office essentially.
Mhm.
But then this, like, paneling we're going to get like a nice Daddies the Podcast logo to put back here.
Cool.
And so it's just one of those things where I feel like podcasting is just all about growth and evolution, right? And I feel like, though, too, you don't want to get caught in the complacency trap where you're doing I mean, we only have really so much time. I don't want to say so much time to get it right, right? Like, we can do this forever, but time is kind of against us in a way.
Sure. Yeah.
Um,
You could not do it for forever
yeah,
and just
right.
never make it,
Yeah.
never do anything big.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
So I think and for me, like, I don't know. I do enjoy our time, but I also enjoy guest time.
Well, you know what I think I might try to do? I might try the sexy voice that Rena was talking about.
Oh my God,
Just
do it.
What if oh, so, Greg, what do you think about next Friday's episode?
I would pay.
Hmm.
If we had to
Just
Oh
pay
my
for that,
God,
I would
please do an entire episode where you talk
just
to
like
Greg like
that.
that.
I
See how
Oh,
long you can keep that up. Oh my freaking God. Yeah.
I'm probably red.
uh
Am I a little red?
you look a little red, but that's okay.
I get so
I'm
frustrated.
turned on.
So what do you think, Daddy?
Yeah.
How low is my camera right now? Can you
Yeah.
see my my pant
Your
wrinkle?
pants are they shrunk.
Let's switch it over to Daddy.
But I do want to talk about so your dad. I love your dad. Like, I feel like I now spend so much time with him just editing those
Is he
clips.
funny or
He
what?
is funny, but I always enjoy his perspective on whoever you're talking to because
Thank
it's just
you.
it's just interesting to me. I don't know, like, not that I'm saying, like, the whole episode's good, but I just really like when you send me that's why, like, I'll always, like, "Hey, you got your dad's part yet?" Because I just enjoy And
I
so
appreciate you saying that. Can I just tell you too, like, it's really given him some purpose. Like, he looks forward to who I'm gonna bring, and, like, he asked me, he's like, "So, who's this week? Like, who'd you talk to?" And I feel like in your older years, like, my dad's a boomer, like, you need positive projects. Like, he's not retired, he still does, like, some consulting work and little things here and there, but, like, this really keeps him hip.
so so your dad listens to the whole episode.
Yes.
And that's so
That's some dedication.
does he listen? Like, I just imagine your dad just sitting there with his AirPods in, just like, smoking a cigar. I don't even know if your dad smokes, just smoking a cigar with like a scotch and just listening to the to the
It's
episode.
funny
So
because I like when I'm QAing them and, like, going back through them, I'm on the freaking treadmill, you know what I mean? But my dad, like, yeah.
like he's in it.
He sits on the couch, like, gets comfortable. He might even play it for his mom, like, he goes to Florida once a month and, like, takes care of his mom, and he's having a conversation with her, and she probably can't even hear him. You know? He's like
I think that
he's
is
tuned in.
that's interesting, yeah, because, like, I mean, obviously, like, I'll spend time when I'm doing art, but, like, also I'm in the kitchen, there's kids running I mean, you know how it is, it's like I'm trying to do 19 things at once, so, like, I'll
Yeah,
sit there and I'll edit while they're, eating dinner, watching their iPads or whatever, you know?
You're better than me. I can't do two things at the same time. Not to
Oh,
save my life. If
I
I'm doing like that, if I'm editing if I was editing an episode, I need to be locked in a fallout shelter,
totally, me
silence,
too.
nothing about it. I could put music on, like I could just listen. But if somebody starts to talk to me, all right, here's a prime example. How upset do I get when we're playing video games and we're playing like zombies on Call of Duty, and my wife comes in and she goes, "Hey, I need," it's like she doesn't need anything important. She's just like, "Hey, I took out the trash and I did this." And I go, "Hold on." I get so like I just can't do it. I don't understand how to do the two things. I have to like completely turn it off, take my headphones off to go talk to her, and then I'll come back.
when I'm editing, so, like, if I'm doing our episode or reading you'll send me an episode. It gives me anxiety if I don't just fucking just do
Mm.
it. Like, I have to fucking do it because, 1, I enjoy the shit out of the editing. I love the recording part, but there's just something about the editing part that I really fucking enjoy. Um, and so, like, if I get something, it's not even that, like, I have to do it, it's just, like, I really fucking want to do it. Like, I want to edit it.
Can you
Uh
talk
You're
about that a little bit? Because, like, there's so many podcasters that need help with that step. Like, what does that look like? Because you don't use Descript, which is like an AI tool that could really, and even Riverside like has an AI option where it's like, hey, you want me to take out all the pauses or whatever?
Yeah, so what I do is I've fucked around with Descript. We tried using so I signed up for Descript a little while ago to try Squadcast,
Yeah,
and I fucking hated it. And I hated it because it was 100% AI. So, like, for me, my editing process looks like this. So I'll get it and then I run it through so I do all of my audio through, Adobe Audition, all of it, and I just like the way and I use a MacBook Pro. Eric is Windows guy,
PC.
PC guy.
Hmm.
I love Apple and I love Mac, and I like Mac because they have those AU, plugins, which is something that Windows doesn't support, and I
Wow.
like how quick they are compared to like a VST3, right? So when I edit, I always listen for is the audio like I'll scan through. So if you send me something, I won't listen to it all right then and there. I'll kind of listen for echo, distortion, dog barks, anything on the outside that could hinder the user's listenability, right? And so then I always will kind of take out the reverb, and then I'll listen for like, is there a lot of, does the person have a lot of sibilants? Are they SE with how like, S is in there in the way that, yep. Or a lot of like
especially if
clicking.
they're using a Yeti.
Yeah. Yes. And so
The
that's the
Yeti I
thing.
started with, and like it really picks up on the S.
Yep. And so
What if I just has a list?
well, that we've talked to people with lists before, and that's another. But so then I'll listen to all those things, and then I level it out. I use like auto levelers, and I have leveling plugins. I can't tell you how many thousands of dollars. I mean, it's a fuckload of plugins that I have, but not every plugin fits everyone's. Like, Rena, when you're talking, I don't have to do much to your voice because I feel like you have the setup where what comes through is fucking
Clean.
clean, it's fine, right? When you're listening to someone on a podcast, right, you don't it's not a song. Like, I expect to just hear something that's easy on the ears and it sounds good. That's it. Like, it doesn't need to have reverb and delays. It's not music, right?
Mhm.
It's just someone talking. So, I try to take that into consideration when I'm editing, and then, and then I just go from there. So, I work on everyone's track differently, to try to make it I don't wanna toot my own horn, but I really like the way that I get my audio to sound. I do. I really like it.
Toot toot. Just kidding.
But
You should toot your own horn. It
I do
does sound good.
too. I'm
Yeah.
really impressed with like all that you can do in such a short amount of time.
but I think too for me, it's because I am a musician. Like, I've been playing guitar for 25 years. So I think that has helped me kind of like I'll send
For
something to
sure.
Eric and I'll be like, "Hey, does this sound good?" He's like, I mean, they both sound really good.
Okay, so there's a word for what you are. It's an audiophile,
Sure. Yep.
and he can hear. It'll sound like A. It's like we go into the eye doctor. Which one's better, A or B? And they look exactly the same to me. But you got to pick one. That's how it is when you send me an audio thing. You go like, oh, listen to it, and then listen to it now, and I'll have heard the same fucking thing again. I'll go, honestly, dude, whatever you think is best.
Or like if I'm editing and I hear, I don't know, fucking like a like a click, I'll fucking go through and like
What if I'm just real thirsty?
but then too, like I
Keep
kind
that.
of leave
I
it
want
up to
I wanna hear that.
I you're good at clearing your throat. I said this motherfucker every
That
time.
was me a second ago. I was like, oh
I
no, no
I
water left over here.
I'm good at saying and so. I'm trying to work on
We
that.
were just
Me
talking about
too.
Like is and what is it? You're supposed to like pause and think about what you're going to say next because listeners would rather hear a but for me,
but it's also tough if you don't know that you're doing some of these things, then you'll never know until you actually start thinking about it. But what I would warn people is not that people I don't feel like I like obviously that's too much, but you still want to be kind of authentic to yourself. So if you're thinking too much, I think it's just a habit that people should break in general. Like it doesn't make you sound like and here I am probably I just said it right there. It doesn't make you sound smarter to say that all those times.
it's hard though too when you're doing an interview with somebody who's never been on a podcast before. What am I gonna spend, 2.5 hours coaching you to do a 30-minute recording? So that's what's tough also, So it's like, you and I do this multiple times a week. You do this multiple times a week, but it's difficult when you're bringing someone in, and that's why I always tell people, "Look, if you're gonna record." I think everyone who podcasting is a great they're great. It's a great platform. Just be I don't wanna say be mindful, but the audio part of it, I'm a fir you can't just plug a I mean, you can just plug a microphone in and record and get something, but if I'm listening to something and the sound is if the sound is, say, bad and the video is good, I'm still gonna fucking turn off. If the video is bad and the sound is amazing, I'll watch. If you have no video and the sound is amazing, I'll listen.
That's just your bougie audiophile self right there.
Bad audio will 100% make or break a podcast.
Mhm.
Bad
I believe it, yeah.
I agree
Because
with
if you
that.
right, and I think so but using to get back to your point, like something like Descript is great for what it is, right? But you're taking the human element out of it, and so you may or may not love the final it'll probably be most people, you record into Riverside, you hit that magic audio button, it's gonna be fine, but for me, I like a little bit more.
It sounds choppy.
It does. It does. Well, and especially if you're taking out, like if you take out all the pauses, then it can be jumpy, and you and I have talked about, like, all right, what can we put in to kind of not make that or how can we fade that audio to get away from that? If you just hit remove all filler words, remove all pauses, you're gonna get and it's going to look and sound funny. It's gonna look funnier than it sounds probably because you when you're listening, but if I'm watching you, like do this.
Real clippy.
It
Yeah.
it looks weird. But, mixed by Daddies the podcast, we
Yeah, that was a nice little 10-minute commercial on mixed by Daddies the podcast. That's right.
I'll tell you this. I'm very affordable. We were having this conversation, Reena. The individual you sent me yesterday, I was talking to her. She just actually sent me some clips over. So thank you for that. But
Yay!
it's one of those things where
So glad. You got to be quick.
yeah. And she said, well, I solved it, and then I sent her like my rates, and I was like, look, I'll give you two free. I'm good at giving everyone 2 to 3 free hours of my time.
Everybody
That
gets
is
two.
very generous and cool and wrote me in.
But then, I mean, now I've done how many episodes for you? So I think
I'm going to be good like half the year working with you.
yeah, and that's what I mean. Like, so it's one of those things where I love what I do, and I love obviously I love like the podcasting part more than the make, but like that's also fucking dope to me. I don't know,
Yeah, don't leave me.
just to quit.
I'll just be here, just doing just like this.
This is very much, and we've talked about this. This is very much a second job for us. I feel like. I mean, we work our 40 to 50 hours a week, and then we do this every week. I spend a little more time editing, but
You spend all the time editing. I don't do
not that
that.
I don't trust you.
Oh, I don't need to be
But
trusted. I don't need to be trusted. You know, I don't know shit about fucking sound.
right.
Insert daddy voice.
Oh yeah. Wait. Can I tell you? Oh fuck, what was it that my son? So my son is 9 years old and he plays a lot of Fortnite. Oh no, what was the thing that he said? Well, he does like with his friends. They go "Ooh, ooh,"
Ugh.
and oh yeah, and it makes me so mad. Oh, I remember, dude. So where I play games is like caddy corner bedroom across the hallway. And I hear him with my headphones on, and I hear him in the other room, and he'll say things like, bro just got cooked.
Ugh.
But there was one time where he said it, and it sounded just like he said, bro just got cucked.
I mean, maybe bro did just get cucked. That's
and I hear so he's like on his iPad. My kid has but both my kids use Facebook Messenger Kids with all the other kids like in the neighborhood and a couple kids from their school. I really like that app for kids that you as the parent control who they can be friends with and who they can talk to.
That's better than Snapchat.
Oh yeah,
God.
no, my kids won't
Woo!
have that anytime soon. But I hear a parent from the iPad go, "What did he just say?" Because they heard the same fucking thing that I heard, and I would be pissed if I heard. But I knew what he like. Knew he was saying it because he says that shit all the fucking time. He's just a walking meme, not a meme.
Is
Stereotype. What generation would a 9-year-old be right now? Like what gen? Are they Gen Alpha? I think so. I think
Really?
he is not a Gen because Gen Z is
that just means we're all gonna die really soon.
what Gen
because we're
Z's
way too old.
Gen Z's are the Zoomers. You said something about 20 years later. I interviewed him and I was like, "Fuck me, 20 years."
But think
later.
about it, like 20 years fucking later.
We're in
And
2025. My 20-year high school anniversary will be next year.
yeah, I mean, I don't know.
I've passed mine.
Getting old, man. But then we get to do cool shit like this. Kids can't do this, even though all those multimillionaires on YouTube and fucking TikTok, like Nastia and
Yeah,
fucking,
They could do it. They could do it.
yeah,
Actually,
right.
I want to introduce you actually to Kendall Brightman. She's the head of community at Riverside.fm, since we were talking about that earlier. She reached out to me and said that they wanted to feature like some creators' spaces and like
Oh,
their
okay.
setups and stuff.
Yeah, please. I love Riverside.
Yeah.
Looking at you, Riverside.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be great.
They were really cool, and they partnered with me in putting together like my first meetup here in Houston. I had attended a lot of other meetups, and I was like, hey, I've found people at each one of these meetups that I like. Maybe I could put one on. And then they were really cool and helped me market it and picked up the first round of drinks and helped me send
That's
out the
awesome.
RSVPs. And I shared all of their emails with them. And I want to do another one.
Do you
So
know, is Riverside based out of like the USA? Are they American based? Are they
they're Tel Aviv.
Oh, are they? I mean,
Yeah.
whatever. I do like that they have a chat. Riverside is really good for when something isn't there they're good at fucking adding it in. Like, before you had to email, now you can chat with somebody. That's huge to not have to wait 24 hours. Or what was it before? The smart scenes they added in where it now clips between who's talking, and it's pretty damn good. Like, Riverside is really a plug and play,
Yeah.
honestly.
They're getting better all the time.
They're getting better all the time.
Yeah, I've been using Riverside on and off for 5 years. They've come a long way.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's what I
It's
hear, like,
amazing.
if you go to, like, the old subreddits with Riverside, they're like, I only use," a lot of people use, um, Zencaster, I see a lot of, or Squadcast, but then Riverside's always in there like, "Look, just give us a shot, we just added this feature in."
Yeah.
They're active in the subreddits.
That's good.
So, yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, kudos to them.
They have great customer service too, like you said. You can reach out to people on their team and they will talk to you
They
and
get
they
back
will
to you.
listen.
Where is Tel Aviv? Is that one of the islands?
Israel.
Oh, it's in Israel.
Oh,
Oh, okay.
okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
Are they all like, is that how all of, like, like, Squadcasts, are they all just kinda based?
I don't know where they're based.
Yeah. I mean, Descript's cool.
I just imagine everything is in, like, New York City.
No, I
It's
don't
in
think
the
any of them are
it's in the Big Apple.
yeah, nah,
And
yep.
I don't even know where Headliner is based out of if they're in Canada or the US, but I love them too.
I, well, and then you'll always see, like, people like, "Well, why don't you use Premiere Pro? You can't fucking record." Premiere Pro is just editing, right? Like,
Yeah.
Mhm.
editing into this platform. You're not recording into it, so you have to have multiple, like, and that's another thing. So getting into podcasting isn't necessarily like, you may not make money, but you're going to have to spend money to maintain access to the Adobe suite, to have Riverside. If you want Descript, that's 44 bucks. Like, it's expensive.
Lest we forget though, we know somebody that just does it on their phone, and then they edit it in, like, on their iPhone, and they talk into their phone.
2 people now. So,
Yeah, and they just do this, and they go into and then they'll overlay things into their voice recording, and then they'll play that again and record over that. Like, so I hold that your extra audiophile self is not, it sounds fantastic, but there is an easy access entry. Like, anybody can just start a podcast at low
but
barriers.
I would like to then, rebuttal with the editing. So Ashley Lana
I
of
thought you were gonna say "fuck you, go
Fuck
birds."
You Go Birds. Woo! But, like, Ashley Lana of Lullaby the Fear podcast, she does everything on her phone, but it takes 2 weeks to edit.
Yeah, that's true.
And so, like, and it sounds like it's excruciatingly painful, but
Yeah.
she does it so well.
She does it so
Maddie,
well. I
it
loved your episode with her. I
Mhm.
could not
great.
believe the amount of work that she puts into her show.
Right.
I mean,
Yeah,
talk
you could tell.
about really somebody who's doing it for the love of it.
Oh, yeah. I
Mhm.
mean, because, like, I try to research everyone who's coming on a little bit, but, like, the amount of research she puts into it, holy hell.
Next level.
Same with, Maddie over at Spill the Mead. I mean,
Mhm.
holy fuck, the work that she puts into studying history before, like, and she does her editing on CapCut, which is
That's right.
fucking gnarly, and kudos to her like, for me, I have what works for me. I actually was, for a day, I was gonna sell my MacBook
And go
and
PC,
go
so we could
PC
PC game.
to PC game, but then I was like, "You know what? I'll buy a gaming PC and keep my MacBook
I
for."
have both. Yeah.
Right? I think they both
I
serve their
learned on
purpose.
Final Cut Pro. Yeah.
Yeah, and so I don't know. But yeah, so for those of you listening, wanting to get into podcasts, you can do it on your phone.
You know what you should do? You should do a video on how, like, somebody, because remember when we were doing it, we didn't know where to start. Like, so you said you can't record into Audio Premiere, whatever, or Adobe Premiere. Like, we didn't really know that.
That's the first thing that Reena, I think, said to me when we were talking you said, "Have you ever done a video or a tutorial showing people getting started how to do it?" And
And I'd be happy to do that with you. I mean, I have people that like literally want to get on calls with me and they're like, what's a beginner mic? What's a middle mic? What's
we
an
should
advanced
absolutely fucking
mic?
we should do that.
Where are all the places we could record? And honestly, you could make a video showing them. You can record on Zoom, you can record on Squadcast, you can record on Riverside. Here's the different versions, and you could side by side it.
Because for me,
Here's how you
there
do
are
it on each platform.
right, and that's the thing, like, so you can find multiple YouTube videos that kind of talk about it, but I always have questions that I can't seem to find the answer to, and I know
Totally.
I'm not the only one
No,
who wonder,
no, no.
about that type of thing. Like, for example, we have a camera here, an iPhone here, and a MacBook
Dude,
recording
show
here.
that. You
Yeah,
should
right.
literally, like, turn a camera on that.
Mhm.
And the side by side. So I'm curious to see. So we use the Sony ZV-1F or whatever, and that's my video. Eric's using my iPhone, and but the quality on both is fucking fantastic.
Phones
Mhm.
And
are remarkable.
oh my god.
Yeah, yeah.
Well,
Well, that's what we started to do. We were like, these are like $1,000
yeah,
cameras
Totally.
that we carry around in our pocket, and I only use it to take pictures of. I'll get a new phone. Whenever I get a new phone, I'll say, "Oh, let me get a slow-mo video of my dog catching a ball and drinking water." And like, have you ever seen a dog drink water in slow motion? Like
oh,
their tongue goes and it like scoops backwards and launches water back up into their mouth. Anyway, that's the only time I ever use the slow-mo function on my phone is when I very first get
My
a new
kids
one.
love making slow-mo videos.
uh,
Like, my
slow-mo's
daughter will
fun.
do, like, a hair flip or something, like,
Yeah, yeah,
slow-mo that.
it is fun, but then I say, "Oh, okay, that's it," and I'll take a selfie, every once in a while, and that's it. I don't use it for anything else.
But then you get the argument with people, and they say, well, you get the well, actually.
Well, actually,
You should a camera that costs $600 should actually look better than the iPhone. It's like, okay, yes, if you are a true photographer, I'm not saying that you shouldn't have a nice fucking camera, right? But for the everyday, what we're doing, your
on us
phone
Joe Schmoes.
is perfectly fine, if not better than going out and buying a GoPro. Like, it's gonna be a clean feed, and the focus is fantastic. Like, the iPhone is set up to just click a button and go. If you wanna get a camera set up, sure, I can spend an hour and make that camera look fucking amazing, which
Mhm,
is what I had to do with this one before we started. I sat there on a YouTube video for an hour, the best settings for this camera, but the iPhone is just as
mhm,
fucking
mhm,
good.
There
mhm.
are lots of schools of thought to how you should start your podcast. I mean, there are some people that are like, I need a plan. I need to be like strategic about this. I want to script it. I want to script the intro, the outro, the questions. There are people like that. And there are people that are like, I want to launch this. I want to have like a monetary plan beforehand. And I'm like, do you have an audience? Do you have an email list? Do you have any products to sell?
Right.
Right? And then there's people that are like, look, I have a day job. I have this thing that I'm really interested in and I want to interview people around it. I'm like, you can do that in a
Yep,
low budget way and I can help you set that up. You know what I
yep.
mean? I feel like those are more the people that come my way are like, "Hey, I have a day job, but I also like love meditation or would love to interview people in the therapy field. And how can I do that in a decent way that sounds decent?"
Yeah, I hear you. I there's a lot, like, I don't know, podcasting is just fucking cool.
It is.
We talk about
You
that a
will
lot.
grow as a person, as a brand. Opportunities will come your way. I am living proof of it.
Yeah. No, you just have to I think like anything, you have to it's not gonna happen overnight.
No.
And I think that's super important where, like, you might wake up and that video that you thought was hilarious was a fucking bomb and no one watched it, and you need to be okay with that.
You know, my favorite responses are, my comments are, is wow, I guess they'll just let anybody record a podcast these days. I love it. It's fantastic. And like the answer should be, yeah, they will. They sure will. Like,
Dude,
go
that's a
ahead.
t-shirt.
Yeah.
Like, you should make a shirt out
Yeah,
of that response.
that's
Right.
so
I
good.
love that.
But also, I think, like, some people, like, they post like that, and they're the keyboard warriors, but it's like, if you're gonna do a podcast, you also need to have thick skin because you're gonna get some bullshit posting on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, whatever, and just who gives a fuck? And I know that's easier said than done because sometimes you do read shit and it's like, that kind of like hurts my feelings a little bit. But then you just have to be able to move the fuck on and just
Did I tell you the story when I was a kid? Some other kid went to me and he said, "Hey, your mom's so stupid." He just said a dumb "your mom" joke. And I was like, oh, oh. And I went home and I told my mom like a little bitch. I was like, "Mom, this kid Steve said that you're so dumb, blah 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 blah." And she said, "Have I ever met this kid Steve?" I go, "No. No, you haven't met him." And she said, "Well, then how would he know how dumb I am?" And I was like, "Oh yeah.
Thanks,
oh, yeah,
Mom.
you're right. He was just bullshitting me.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right, Mom. Thanks.
Didn't Steve grow up though to marry your mom?
Oh, Steve is now fucking my mom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
You want to know what they're doing for Valentine's Day?
each other.
Anal. Oh, yeah. Just kidding.
Well, Reena, thank you for joining us.